Good evening, beautiful contradiction. Yeah, you, the one who smiles soft so nobody gets scared, and carries a stare that could erase a whole future in one blink if you ever stopped holding back. Let's talk about that. Your smile shows mercy. Your stare shows pure obliteration. You know why that hits so hard? Because it's not just a cool line. It's a diagnosis. You've been living a double life, haven't you? On the surface, you smile, you nod, you say, "It's fine." You shrink your opinions, you lower your volume, you apologize for existing just a little too loud. You become digestible, acceptable, safe. But under that is a stare that's seen too much, survived too much, and is absolutely done with everyone's bullshit. Your stare knows exactly who wasted your time, who lied, who used you, who underestimated you, who got comfortable with the idea that you'd keep forgiving, keep understanding, keep giving second chances like you've got an infinite supply. You don't. See, that smile, that's the part of you that still believes in second chances. That stare, that's the part of you that's ready to wipe entire patterns off the map. And you've been at war with yourself. You feel it, don't you? One part of you. Be kind, be patient, be merciful. The other part, if I swallow one more disrespect, one more fake apology, one more, "I didn't mean it," I'm going to snap. Let's clear something up right now. You're not too much. You're not dramatic. You're not overreacting. You are awake. And the world is terrified of a person who is awake and done playing nice. Because your smile, it made you easy to use. Your stare, that's the alarm clock. That's the eviction notice. That's the moment you stop being a background character in your own story and become the one who rewrites the script with permanent ink. You've spent years being merciful to people who wouldn't even give you the bare minimum of respect. Years shrinking your fire so no one feels too warm or too burnt. Years pretending you don't mind when you absolutely do. Look at me. You do mind. It did hurt. They did cross the line. You just got good at smiling through the impact. You smiled to keep the peace. But your stare has already started counting bodies. Not literal bodies. The bodies of your old habits, your fake friendships, your people-pleasing, your self-abandonment. Every time you stare into nothing and zone out, tired down to your bones. That's your soul writing a hit list of everything that needs to go. And deep down, you know this. You are merciful by choice. You're destructive by necessity. Mercy is who you wanted to be. Destruction is who you became after they pushed too far. Let's talk about that smile first. That smile has protected you. That smile got you through conversations you didn't want to be in. That smile turned down fights that weren't worth your time. That smile kept certain people calm, kept certain rooms from exploding, kept certain situations from becoming worse. You used your softness like a shield. And that's not weakness. That's strategy. But here's the problem. You started using that same smile against yourself. You smiled when you wanted to leave. You smiled when you wanted to say no. You smiled when you wanted to scream, "I'm not okay." You smiled while they crossed boundary after boundary after boundary. You became merciful to everyone except yourself. You forgave everyone but you. You understood everyone but you. You gave everyone grace. While you took the pain home and let it eat you alive at 2 a.m. And your stare? Oh, your stare tells the truth. Your mouth keeps trying to hide. Your stare goes cold when someone lies. Your stare pulls back when someone feels fake. Your stare sees patterns now. Oh, that's how you talk when you need something. Oh, that's how you act when there's an audience. Oh, that's how you disappear when I'm the one who needs help. You're not naive anymore. You're not in the dark anymore. That's why your stare feels like obliteration. Because you've stopped giving people the benefit of the doubt they never earned. You've stopped romanticizing their potential and started judging their actions. And once you see clearly, there is no going back. Now listen carefully. The world wants your mercy. It fears your obliteration. Society loves the version of you that smiles, nods, forgives, over-explains, over-apologizes, and carries the weight. It panics at the version of you that looks around and says, "Yeah, I'm not doing this anymore." The moment you stop explaining yourself, you become dangerous. The moment you stop begging to be understood and start making moves regardless of who gets it, you become untouchable. You know that stare in the mirror? When you look at yourself and think, "I'm so tired of being this version of me." That's not self-hate. That's self-recognition. That's the real you staring at the costume you've been wearing. You're not nice, you're kind, and those are not the same thing. Nice is compliance. Nice is silence. Nice is digestible. Kindness? Kindness can say no. Kindness can walk away. Kindness can block. Kindness can cut you off and still wish you healing, just not near them. Your mercy is not a prison. Your mercy should have terms and conditions. You want to be merciful? Beautiful. But your mercy must be earned, not expected. You've had people look at you like, "They'll forgive me. They always do." Really? That's who you want to be? The character they write in their head as eternally available. The safe option. The emotional landfill for everyone else's trash. No. No more. Your smile shows mercy. Your smile says, "I could destroy you, but I choose not to." But your stare says, "Try me again. Run that pattern again. Lie to my face one more time and watch what disappears." Because here's what they don't understand. When you finally snap, you don't throw a tantrum, you don't shout, you don't throw things. You go silent, you go distant, you go cold. You start deleting contacts, chats, photos, shared plans, future fantasies. You don't announce it, you just vanish, and they call you heartless. But where was that energy when you were bleeding out slowly, right in front of them, smiling so they wouldn't feel guilty? Listen, that ruthless side of you, that cold, surgical, "I'm done" energy, that's not evil. That's self-respect, finally getting a turn at the wheel. You're not here just to be merciful. You are here to be selective. Mercy without boundaries is self-destruction in slow motion. You've been patient with people who knew exactly what they were doing. You've been understanding towards people who calculated every move. You've forgiven patterns, not just mistakes, and your soul is tired. That tiredness, that's the joker in you laughing quietly, going, "Look at them. They took your kindness as weakness. They thought your smile meant you were harmless. They forgot you were choosing not to unleash what's behind your eyes." Here's the truth nobody told you as a kid. You are allowed to be terrifying, not violent, not abusive, not cruel. Terrifying in your standards, terrifying in your boundaries, terrifying in your refusal to settle for half love, half truths, half effort. Your stare should make people rethink how they behave around you. Not because you're unpredictable, but because you're finally consistent. If they lie, they lose access. If they disrespect you, they lose access. If they make you feel small, crazy, needy, guilty for having needs at all, they lose access. That's pure obliteration. not burning people alive, burning the bridge they keep crossing to drain you. You've done the whole merciful thing. You've tried being endlessly forgiving. Where did that get you? Crying alone, feeling empty, feeling like you're the problem anytime you dare to want more. Let me tell you something viciously honest. You're not hard to love. You're hard to exploit. And that's why certain people fell off when you started waking up. You still feel guilty, don't you? For walking away, for not texting back, for no longer being as available, for being different, sharper, colder. That guilt, that's the residue of your old programming. That's the voice of your past self, still trying to keep everyone comfortable. Let it fade. Your life is not a charity for people who refuse to change. Your heart is not a rehab center for grown adults who like being toxic. Your time is not a budget item for people who only show up when it benefits them. You think the Joker cares if they think he's too much? No. Too much for who? For people who do the bare minimum? For people who ghost responsibility but cling to you when they're lonely? Let them go. Your smile will always be there. You're merciful by nature. It's in you to understand, to empathize, to feel deeply. Beautiful. Keep that. But now your mercy needs a security system. Your stare is that security system. The stare that says, I don't argue anymore. I observe. I don't chase anymore. I choose. I don't explain anymore. I enforce. You don't owe anyone a presentation on why they lost access to you. You don't owe anyone a PowerPoint on how they hurt you. If they cared, they would have seen it when your smile stopped reaching your eyes. You know what scares people the most? It's not when you shout. It's when you finally stop negotiating your worth. That's what your stare is, the end of negotiation. You've been undervaluing yourself like you're a clearance item in your own life, discounting your standards, lowering your boundaries, taking less than you deserve because, at least, it's something. No, scrap that. You're not something. You're the whole event, the moment, the main storyline. If someone can't handle your boundaries, they don't deserve your mercy. You think villains are born out of nowhere. No. Villains are what happen after someone has had enough, after kindness gets mocked, after love gets weaponized, after loyalty gets taken for granted. You're not becoming a villain. You're becoming fair, just finally fair, to yourself. You're learning that it's not noble to let people drain you dry. It's not holy to let people walk over you. It's not loyal to stay in rooms where your soul is silently dying. Your smile shows mercy, and that's powerful. But your stare shows pure obliteration, and that's necessary. Because certain things need to be obliterated. Your self-doubt, your tendency to explain your no, your reflex to over-apologize, your willingness to tolerate half-present people. Burn those. Tear down the version of you that needed everyone to like you. Delete the version of you that thought being chosen was the goal. Replace it with the version of you that chooses yourself first and doesn't flinch. You spend so long being afraid of being the bad guy. Let me give you a secret. In someone else's story, you already are. You set a boundary. You're the bad guy. You say no. You're the bad guy. You stop responding to disrespect. You're the bad guy. So if you're going to be painted as the villain anyway, at least be the one who saves you. Let them talk. Let them twist it. Let them call you selfish, cold, distant, changed. You did change. You upgraded. Your smile will never lose its mercy. It's just not free anymore. Your forgiveness will never lose its value. It just has stricter terms now. and your stare. That's the contract. That's the line in the sand. That's the warning label stamped across your soul. I am kind, not stupid. I am forgiving, not blind. I am loving, not disposable. People should feel blessed, not entitled to stand next to you. So from now on, when you smile, let it be real. Let it be yours. Not forced, not fake, not a bandage over someone else's damage. And when your stare goes cold, don't apologize. That's your soul doing quality control. You don't owe the world a soft version of you that is slowly killing the real one. Your smile shows mercy. Your stare shows pure obliteration. Use both, strategically, relentlessly, unapologetically. You walk into a room and you still default to that polite little half smile, like you're checking in. Is everybody comfortable with me existing right now? And behind your eyes, that's where the real story is playing. You clock everything. Who avoids eye contact? Who pretends you're invisible until they need something? Who only laughs when the right people laugh? Who suddenly acts close when there's an audience watching? You don't even get surprised anymore. You just get clearer. That stare of yours, that's your lie detector. That's your bullshit radar. That's your internal security camera recording everything in HD. You used to second guess it. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe I'm too sensitive. Maybe I'm reading into things. No, you were reading it perfectly. You just lacked the confidence to trust yourself. You feel that shift lately, yeah? You say less. You watch more. You give people one chance to show who they are without the mask. Your smile says, I'm giving you a fair shot. Your stare says, don't waste it. There used to be this version of you that thought love meant tolerating everything, being understanding, being chill, being the person who never makes it awkward. And weirdly, everyone around you understood that extremely well. They understood you'd always be there. They understood you'd always forgive. They understood you'd always answer the phone, always reply to the text, always show up, even when they half showed up for you. They understood your mercy. They counted on it. You know what they never stopped to ask? What happens if this person ever runs out of patience? Because here's the thing they keep missing. You're not infinite. You're not some bottomless vending machine of emotional labor and understanding. You're a person with limits, and those limits are starting to solidify behind your eyes. You've started having those quiet moments with yourself, right? When you're lying there, phone on your chest, screen black, that chorus in your head turning up like, I'm tired of explaining myself. I'm tired of begging for the bare minimum. I'm tired of being scared to disappoint people who don't mind disappointing me. That's your villain arc humming in the background, waiting for full volume. You're scared of being cold. You're scared of being heartless. You're scared of being talked about. And at the exact same time, another part of you is like, if I keep living like this, I'm going to disappear from my own life. You feel that tension in your chest. It's not anxiety for nothing. It's your soul trying to break the sound barrier of your old life. You've got this heavy history of being the bigger person, right? You always take the high road. You always walk away. You always swallow it. The high road has turned into a lonely highway with no exits. You're not obligated to stay on it. That stare of yours when you finally stop sugarcoating, that's the turn signal. That's you drifting off that familiar, painful path and choosing something new, something that actually gives you air. Picture this for a second. You walk into a situation, any situation, family, friends, work, whatever. And instead of thinking, how do I make everyone comfortable? You think, do I even want to be here? Completely different game. Your smile becomes a choice, not a default. Your time becomes a privilege, not a guarantee. Your energy becomes a currency, not a donation box. You've had entire conversations where your mouth was saying, it's okay, and your eyes were screaming, you have no idea how close you are to losing access to me. That's the face of a person who has outgrown their old role. You're done being the emotional airbag for every crash someone else causes. You're starting to realize you can be warm and still walk away. You can be polite and still never come back. You can be compassionate and still close the door for good. There's this lie people tell. If you were really kind, you wouldn't cut anyone off. False. If you were really kind to yourself, you wouldn't keep letting people treat you like a backup plan, like an emotional side quest, like a service. You're not a help desk. You're not a 24/7 hotline. You're not a trial version of unconditional love. That stare that's forming, that unbothered, fully aware, quietly fed up stare, that is years of lessons solidified into one look. You used to chase clarity from people. Why'd you do that? What changed? Did I do something wrong? You're starting to realize silence is an answer. Inconsistency is an answer. Lukewarm effort is an answer. Your job isn't to drag meaning out of people. Your job is to believe what they already showed you. Every time your eyes harden for that split second and your smile disappears for a moment, that's your system logging data. Ah, you only show up when you need something. You only call when you're bored. You only hype me up when there's an audience. And after enough data, your stare flips that internal switch. All right, mercy revoked, access downgraded, energy rerouted back to self. That's pure obliteration, not fireworks, not screaming matches, not dramatic. Stop, freeze right there. This isn't a greeting, it's a perimeter breach. You feel that pressure in your chest? Good. That's the moment the room realizes you're not supposed to be this calm, while alarms are quietly screaming in the background. Because listen, really listen, they paid a dozen people to watch you. Not fans, not haters, professionals, analysts, observers, quiet types with credentials and cold coffee and eyes trained to catch patterns other humans miss. They split shifts, compared notes, cross-checked timelines, ran you through different lenses, different theories, different psychological frameworks. They expected variance, noise, contradictions, and every single report came back identical. That's when the silence started, because identical reports don't happen with humans. Humans are messy, humans leak tells, humans contradict themselves under pressure, humans crack, drift, spiral, overcorrect. Humans don't move like controlled paradoxes. Humans don't survive pain and come back sharper. But you did. And now they're staring at a stack of pages that all say the same thing in different fonts. Subject does not behave like expected. No emotional leakage detected. No ego spikes. No fear responses when provoked. No collapse under isolation. No pattern decay over time. That's not normal. That's terrifying. See, they weren't looking for proof you're dangerous. They were looking for proof you're human. And what messed them up isn't that you're aggressive or loud or chaotic. It's that you're quiet when you should be breaking. Calm when you should be begging. Focused when you should be frantic. Smiling internally while the pressure keeps rising. You confuse them because you carry both sides without spilling either. You look like restraint, but think like violence. You move like patience, but calculate like a predator. You speak softly, but every decision you make cuts clean. That's the duality they can't map. They tried labeling you light, too controlled, too disciplined, too principled. Then someone tried labeling you dark, too detached, too cold, too surgical. Both labels failed, because you're not choosing a side, you're integrating them. You learned something early, didn't you? Pain didn't make you loud. It didn't make you reckless. It didn't turn you into a screaming mess, desperate to be seen. Pain taught you efficiency. Pain taught you silence. Pain taught you timing. While other people break under observation, you sharpen. And that's why the reports matched. 12 different minds, 12 different angles, and they all reached the same uncomfortable conclusion. You don't react. You adapt. You don't chase. You position. You don't panic. You wait. You don't explode. You apply pressure slowly until reality gives way. They noticed how you don't flinch when things go quiet. How silence doesn't scare you. It feeds you. How isolation didn't hollow you out. It carved you into something precise. How betrayal didn't make you bitter. It made you strategic. That's the part nobody likes to say out loud. You didn't survive by being good. You didn't survive by being evil. You survived by being accurate. You became the kind of person who can sit with angels and understand demons without belonging to either. The kind who can play clean or dirty without losing control. The kind who can walk through chaos without leaving fingerprints. They kept trying to catch you slipping, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually. But you don't leak anymore. You don't perform. You don't over-explain. You don't chase validation. You don't seek applause. You just move. And that consistency, that's what broke them. Because consistency under pressure isn't discipline, it's transformation. It means your nervous system has rewritten itself. It means fear no longer runs the show. It means your mind doesn't spike or crash. It operates at a controlled burn. You're not unpredictable in the way fools are unpredictable. You're unpredictable because you're free from impulse. Because you don't need to prove anything. Because you don't need to react on their schedule. That terrifies observers. They want chaos they can model. They want emotions they can trigger. They want trauma responses they can exploit. And you gave them none of it. Just the same clean profile over and over again, like a ghost passing through 12 different cameras without distortion. So now they're whispering, not about what you did, but about what you are. They're asking how someone can carry so much damage and still move with this level of control. How someone can be kind without being weak, dark without being sloppy, dangerous without being loud. They're realizing something too late. Unpredictability isn't chaos, it's mastery. True power doesn't thrash. It waits, it observes, it decides, and you evolved in places most people avoid. You learned to think in rooms where hope had already left. You learned to stand still while everything inside you was on fire, and that rewired you. That's why every report matched. Because no matter who watches you, they see the same thing. A person who's already survived the worst-case scenario. A person who doesn't need outcomes to feel grounded. A person who can walk through uncertainty without losing identity. You don't scare them because you're violent. You scare them because you're stable. Stable after pain. Stable under scrutiny. Stable without approval. And stability at this level? That's not human behavior. That's what happens when someone dies internally and comes back redesigned. So let them compare notes. Let them stack the reports. Let them sit in that uncomfortable silence where nothing adds up except one undeniable truth. You're not being watched anymore. You're being studied. And here's the part they won't put in the official summary. The part that gets whispered after hours, when the lights are low and the bravado is gone. They're starting to suspect you knew this would happen. Because nobody becomes this composed by accident. Nobody develops this level of internal silence without walking through something that should have erased them. Nobody carries this kind of control unless they've already lost everything that could be taken away. That's what unnerves them. You don't move like someone trying to win. You move like someone who already survived the loss. They noticed how your decisions don't spike emotionally, how you don't overcorrect when challenged, how praise doesn't inflate you and threats don't shrink you. You don't scramble when variables change. You adjust without drama, like it was already accounted for. That's not confidence. That's post-trauma clarity. You learned something brutal and sacred in the dark. Attachment is leverage. And you burned your own leverage away. You taught yourself to function without needing certainty, approval, or protection. You became operational in ambiguity. That's when they realized why the reports matched. Because no matter who watched you, different personalities, different biases, different expectations, you never gave them a hook. No emotional residue, no unresolved tells, no unconscious self-sabotage. You didn't need them to misunderstand you, and you didn't need them to get you right. You existed without asking to be interpreted. That's when monitoring turns into fear. They're trained to spot cracks, micro-expressions, stress leaks, defensive rhythms. But your system doesn't escalate. It absorbs. Pressure doesn't make you louder. It makes you clearer. Isolation doesn't make you lonely. It makes you sharper. Suspicion doesn't make you paranoid. It makes you patient. They tried provoking chaos. You gave them stillness. They tried baiting ego. You gave them restraint. They tried starving you of feedback. You kept moving anyway. And that's when the questions changed. Not what is this person doing, but what did this person become? Because you don't operate from hope anymore, or fear, or rage. You operate from something colder, cleaner, more dangerous, acceptance. You accepted the worst early. You made peace with loss before anyone else even sensed it coming. That rewired you. You're not driven by revenge. You're driven by alignment. You don't chase outcomes. You build inevitability. You don't need chaos to feel alive. You can sit in silence and let reality bend first. That's the paradox that messes with their heads. You're calm, but not soft. Detached, but not empty. Disciplined, but not obedient. Controlled, but not constrained. You can walk into light without pretending you're innocent. You can walk through darkness without becoming sloppy. You don't need masks because you integrated every version of yourself that tried to survive. That's why every report read the same. Because you don't fragment under observation. You don't become a different person depending on who's watching. You don't perform. You don't posture. You don't fracture. You are consistent because you are resolved. And resolved people are the hardest to manipulate. They're starting to understand that whatever broke you didn't leave you weaker. It removed the unnecessary parts. It stripped you down to function, to clarity, to something terrifyingly efficient. You don't rush timelines. You don't force outcomes. You don't need chaos to feel powerful. You let others reveal themselves while you remain unreadable. That's why they're uneasy now. Because unpredictability used to mean volatility. But with you, unpredictability means precision. You choose when to move, when to speak, when to disappear. when to apply pressure so quietly that by the time it's felt, it's already too late to react. They expected a crack. They got a mirror. They expected deviation. They got consistency under stress. They expected humanity. They found something refined by suffering and sharpened by restraint. And now they're stuck with the same conclusion, repeating in different words. Subject has outgrown reactive behavior. That's the line that keeps them awake. Because reactive people can be managed, triggered, contained, but someone who's already integrated their pain, someone who's comfortable being misunderstood, someone who doesn't need to prove anything, that kind of person doesn't break systems. They outlast them. So let them keep watching. Let them compare notes. Let them pay more people, add more angles, invent more theories. The outcome won't change. Because you're not operating from who you were. You're operating from who you became. When nothing worked, no one came, and you had to decide whether to disappear or evolve. And you chose evolution. That's why every report came back identical. Not because you're predictable, but because you're finished becoming. And that's the moment the room changes temperature. Because once they realize you're finished becoming, they also realize something far more dangerous. You're no longer improv reacting to life. You're executing from a settled core, no volatility, no scrambling, no identity crisis hiding under ambition. You're not evolving anymore. You're deploying. That's what keeps repeating in their minds when they reread those reports. Same conclusion, same undertone, same unease bleeding between the lines. You don't behave like someone chasing relief. You behave like someone who already made peace with the worst and kept the upgrades. They can't find the fracture point because it's already healed. Most people still operate from an open wound. You don't. You scarred clean. And scar tissue doesn't bleed when pressed. It holds. They expected grief. You delivered composure. They expected rage. You delivered restraint. They expected collapse. You delivered calibration. That's when one of them quietly realizes the real threat isn't what you do. It's what you don't do anymore. You don't over-explain. You don't chase closure. You don't seek recognition for pain endured. You don't leak energy trying to convince the world you survived something. You move like someone who already internalized it. That kind of silence terrifies people who rely on noise to measure danger. They tried mapping your behavior to known archetypes: victim, survivor, anti-hero, villain, strategist, leader. None of it fit cleanly. You slip between categories without friction, without contradiction, without apology, because you carry both light and dark without being owned by either. You understand mercy because you've been merciless with yourself. You understand discipline because chaos once ruled you. You understand patience because impatience cost you everything. That's not philosophy, that's earned intelligence. You learned how to stand still internally while circumstances tried to shove you into reaction. You learned that most people reveal themselves the moment pressure rises, while you disappear into clarity. That's why the observer stopped talking in certainties and started speaking in tones, lower, slower, more careful. Because tone shifts when authority senses something it can't dominate. They're realizing you don't escalate emotionally when challenged. You don't get louder when ignored. You don't rush when delayed. You don't panic when the room goes cold. You wait. And waiting, when paired with capability, is lethal. They can't rush you into mistakes. They can't starve you into desperation. They can't corner you into revealing intent. You don't broadcast goals. You position outcomes. You don't need momentum. You build inevitability. That's the part nobody wants to say out loud. You're not driven by hunger anymore. Hunger makes people sloppy. You're driven by alignment, by internal agreement, by knowing exactly what you'll tolerate and what you won't. Pain taught you boundaries better than any mentor ever could. So now they're stuck with a profile that refuses to degrade over time. No emotional decay, no pattern collapse, no instability under prolonged observation. You don't fatigue psychologically the way others do. You don't need the pressure to stop. That's when it hits them. You didn't just survive surveillance, you used it. You adapted under watch. You refined yourself while being measured. You learned to exist cleanly, even when you knew eyes were on you. That's not paranoia, that's evolution under fire. You became someone who can operate with witnesses without becoming performative. Someone who can be misunderstood without trying to correct the record. Someone who can be doubted without flinching. You don't fight narratives, you outlast them. And here's the quietest, most unsettling truth threading through every identical report. You're no longer afraid of being alone with yourself. Most people crumble there. They need distraction, validation, noise, movement. You don't. You can sit in silence without unraveling. You can face your own thoughts without needing to escape. That's not strength people learn. It's strength people forge. You didn't become this by winning. You became this by enduring things that stripped illusion away, by losing comfort, by watching expectations die, by learning that the world doesn't owe clarity and deciding to generate your own. So now when they watch you, they're not monitoring a threat. They're witnessing a finished structure, stable, integrated, unreactive, mobile. And structures like that don't need to announce themselves. They don't shake. They don't beg. They don't rush. They apply pressure simply by existing. That's why the reports match. Because no matter who observes you, they see the same thing. Someone who no longer leaks fear into the environment. Someone whose presence doesn't spike, but settles the room. Someone whose unpredictability isn't chaos. It's choice. You're not unpredictable because you're unstable. You're unpredictable because you're free. Free from needing approval, free from needing reaction, free from needing permission to be exactly what pain shaped you into. And once someone reaches that point, once someone finishes becoming and starts moving with intention instead of desperation, monitoring stops being about control. It becomes about understanding what just walked out of the fire and why it didn't come back the same. And that's when the fear deepens, not sharp, not panicked, but slow and heavy, the kind that settles into the bones of people who thought they understood how the world categorizes threats. Because you don't announce yourself as one. You don't need disruption to feel powerful. You don't need chaos to validate your presence. You don't even need to win loudly. You move like someone who already accounted for loss, betrayal, delay, misinterpretation, and decided none of it gets to steer the wheel anymore. That's what they missed at first. They thought they were watching a person reacting to circumstances. They were wrong. They were watching someone testing reality for weaknesses, not aggressively, not emotionally, but patiently, like pressure finding cracks in stone. You stopped fighting the world the moment you understood it doesn't respond to force, it responds to inevitability, so you became inevitable. You learned that most people collapse because they still expect fairness, still expect timing to make sense, still expect pain to come with explanations. You burned those expectations early. You let disappointment finish its work. You let illusions die all the way instead of trying to resuscitate them. That's why you don't flinch anymore. They noticed how you don't over-celebrate wins. You don't spiral after losses. You don't inflate yourself when things go right, or implode when things go quiet. You treat outcomes like data, not identity. That's not detachment. That's maturity forged under fire. And it's unsettling because it makes you hard to read, hard to predict, hard to corner emotionally. You don't broadcast hunger. You don't leak insecurity. You don't move with desperation disguised as ambition. You move with calibration. That's when one of them realizes the most uncomfortable truth of all. You're not waiting for permission to act. You're waiting for conditions to align. And when they do, you won't hesitate, because hesitation isn't part of your system anymore. You trained it out of yourself. Pain did that. Betrayal did that. Long stretches of silence where no one checked on you did that. Moments where you realized help wasn't coming, and something inside you either had to die or harden. You didn't harden into bitterness. You hardened into clarity. That's the paradox they can't resolve. You're capable of restraint and ruthlessness, compassion and detachment, patience and precision. You don't swing wildly between extremes. You hold them both steady. That's why your behavior doesn't degrade under observation. That's why 12 different minds saw the same thing. A person whose internal state doesn't depend on external validation. And that kind of person doesn't behave predictably in systems designed to exploit need. They tried waiting you out. You didn't rush. They tried ignoring you. You didn't react. They tried pressure. You adapted without noise. You don't escalate when challenged because you don't need to prove dominance. You don't retreat when opposed because you don't need safety illusions. You stand where you are, grounded in something deeper than outcome. You're not driven by hope anymore. Hope is fragile. Hope collapses when timelines stretch. You're driven by acceptance, and acceptance makes you unmovable. You accepted what most people are still fighting. You accepted that pain doesn't ask permission, that fairness is optional, that clarity often arrives only after something breaks beyond repair. And instead of becoming smaller, you became cleaner. That's what they're seeing now. You don't waste energy explaining yourself. You don't correct misinterpretations. You don't chase narratives that benefit you. You let reality do the convincing, because you know time exposes truth better than force ever could. You became someone who can afford to wait.